Now, what is reverse publishing? Okay, so this is like the traditional newspaper workflow. I just want to lay this out. And Meg, if you have any feedback for me on this, I'd be interested to know how you used to do it before you adopted reverse publishing, like if it differed from this at all. And again, anyone that has any comments on what you do right now, any of the attendees, let me know. If you lay out your workflow or tell me if it's the same as this or what's different. I'd be really interested to know. So usually what a newspaper does, and they've been doing for decades, ever since kind of the internet came around, was the reporters would write the articles in Word, and then they would email the drafts directly to the editor. Okay, then the editor would have to download those pages, make their changes, and save a final version, send that to the paginator. Then the paginator would download the file again, open it in Word and from the email. Then they would copy and paste each article into the InDesign template. Then the final PDF is exported and sent to the printer. Okay. Now, how does that match what you used to do, Meg? Is that more or less the same?
More or less. I used to open the Word document and stick it into InDesign and kind of leave a rough, I'd edit it in that and then save it, and then the paginator would clean it up and make it attractive looking.
Right.
I also have a system where I have our paginators try to save things in kind of standardized size units, like a quarter page or a half page, if they can. Sometimes we have to tweak it, just so that when we do the final page layout, I put a quarter page article here and a half page article here, and I can just grab from the different size articles.
Interesting.
But everybody probably has their own oddball way of doing it.
That's right. I think everyone's going to be different. That's exactly why I wanted to get feedback on this. So basically, you're saying that you would put it into InDesign rather than having the paginator do it, and then they would do their thing and make it look good.
Right. They put the pictures in and the captions and fix the headlines and
Okay.
But I do the editing in InDesign typically. So
right. Oh, okay. Interesting. Right. Hey, so Brent, if you can hear me, I'd love to know what you're doing right now. We're going to talk about this next week in more detail. I know you're really interested in moving to this workflow. So let me know what's different. But then the last step, which is just kind of a headache for most publishers and kind of made people resent the internet, because now it's like, now you're creating more work for me. Now someone has to copy and paste those articles from, I think it's usually InDesign, because that's the final version, right? That's what was in. So they probably wouldn't go back to the Word file, although maybe they did. And then they would have to paste that into the website CMS. So it sounds like that's what you pretty much did, Meg, right?
Yeah. Well, we were one of your earlier customers.
I'm sorry.
We were doing we'd send you the PDFs of the page and you guys would pull it out. And
right.
But
of course.
It made it, I couldn't tweak it as I went, and I couldn't make it look the way I wanted it to look, because you guys would be doing it.
Exactly. Yes. So that was, I totally was just thinking about other publishers when I said that. But yes, so you were using our full service extraction, which is actually what Brent is using now at the Reporter. So that it removes the need for people to copy and paste. It takes that burden off them, but you give up a certain amount of control there. So that's a really good point. Okay. So let's talk about thinking outside the box, the proverbial box and the literal box on this page. So the reverse publishing workflow, with this approach, the reporters can write the articles directly in the WordPress CMS, and then they can assign them to the editor so that there's no emailing of drafts back and forth. Now, I think, Meg, your process is you actually still maintain control of what goes on the website. You're the one putting it in there, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So that's a slightly different thing, and that's just a matter of preference, so that you're the final say on what goes on the website. So that would be a slight tweak on this. But the point I think the key here is that it's all coming to you, and then you put it in one place, and it's in the CMS from the get-go, basically. And then the editor can review the story once it's in there, schedule that article to go live on the website, and then they can actually set the status as ready for print. Now, this would be, I see it as for more like maybe an operation with more people involved, because I think you're doing a lot of this yourself,
Right.
so you don't really need to assign the article to yourself.
Right.
You know what's ready for print. So, maybe that doesn't quite apply, but I think, for some of the other publishers that are considering this, if you're the editor and you have people writing in the CMS for you, and then you've got a different paginator that needs to know the status of the article, this is how you would do it. Okay, then the paginator bulk exports the entire edition to InDesign. I think in your case, Meg, you're doing the export, and then do you email it to the paginator, or how does that work?
No, we just have a shared folder on our server, and so I just save it into the shared folder, and he grabs it from there.
Cool.
But if you were to do we could do a bulk export like you have here. I'm just doing one at a time, but there's no reason you couldn't do it that way.
Right. Okay, great. Now we actually have a comment here from Brent, and I just want to address this. So, like I said, Brent is seriously considering moving away from full service extraction and doing this. So he says, I'd like to follow the same process as Meg, quote, having the final say for what goes on the website. That makes a lot of sense. One issue I'd have moving to reverse publishing flow would be the retraining portion for my employees. I'm lucky that they're able to use Dropbox as our CMS. That required a great amount of training. Interesting. Okay. So yeah, the retraining thing I think is probably the reason that a lot of people haven't done this yet, because it makes sense when you look at it on paper, but retraining can sometimes be a headache. So do you have any advice on that, Meg? I mean, it sounds like you just decided to do it, and you just did it because it's you.
Yeah, it's not at all hard when you learn how to do the export the file and then to drag it into InDesign. Is very obvious. Like you grab the thing and you pull it over here and it pops into life.
Right.
When we do the demonstration, I think you'll see what I mean.
Yeah.
There's not a lot of retraining involved.
That's right. Yeah. We'll definitely address that in a second, Brent. And the other thing you said is the additional benefit with my workflow is that I'm the paginator here. So that is definitely simplifies things. So there's, like I said, there's no rescheduling or assigning for you. Okay. We're going to wrap this up here and then get to the demo in just a second. Use this drag and drop to place the elements on the template. So I have a lot of words on this page because I want you to see how it contrasts to the old step 4, where the paginator copies and pastes, which can be, very mundane. If you can just bulk import everything into InDesign and drag and drop, as we'll see, it's just way simpler and just more intuitive, really. So then the final PDF is exported and sent to the printer. That's the exact same process. But then this is the last step that's not even really a step, because the article is automatically published at the scheduled time. And I think you're doing that, Meg, right? You kind of embargo the articles until print comes out.
Mostly, although, like, for example, we had a village election this week and I wanted to get those results up immediately. So that I put up immediately. And you can decide from article to article, which ones you want to do now or schedule them for other times.
Right. Okay, good. Yep. Perfect. Good feedback on that.